Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. See, HaSheim made me forget my book. I mean, if he wanted me to have it, I would have had it. So he purposely made the show in two parts. It's like he makes a spectacle of things sometimes, just so it proves a point. So you look back, you'll always see show 8, part 1, part 2. Oh, that's the one where he forgot his book, right? And he talked about, and it helps you remember things. Sometimes I think going through certain pain and suffering helps us remember things. We attach memories to things. You know, my dad's got Alzheimer's, and yet he remembers certain things. I don't know if they're either painful or pleasurable or whatever, but I've come across those things with him. I can't remember offhand right now what those things were, but okay. So these are the 613 obligations for all of the Jewish people. I went in and to the Sefer HaChinuch, the book that lists them out and enumerates them and talks about the what, why, how of each one. I took the why and I schlepped it out. I took the punishment for each that I could find that was obvious, that didn't take too much thinking about principles, that maybe I'm not on that madrega, that level yet to start to decide, okay, this is why we get this for the... All right, so I just took what was literally there. You get flogging, you get death, blah, blah, blah. I wrote them all out in this way. At least this gives us some sound punishment base, a good sound base of what we know will get as a punishment if, God forbid, we transgress. So this was very helpful, I thought. I was doing it for myself, but then I ended up doing it for you. All right. We are at 151. Okay. And we're going to 175. All right. 151. Kohanim. These are the priests, the Kohanim. They do the service in the Beis HaMikdash, in the temple, in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. We need to build that temple again so that we can fulfill all these 613. I can't fulfill this one until I have the temple rebuilt in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem, in the Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel. So I need to have full access. We Jewish people need to have full access to our land without people fighting us, wanting to cut it in half, make a two-state solution. There's no two-state solution. It's our land, period. It belongs to us. It's a place for us to be able to fulfill our 613. I hope you're getting that point from all of this. So now you see the politics. You know, that's why I think President Trump has such a following with the Orthodox Jewish population, because he's a supporter of Israel. He's helpful to Mr. Netanyahu, and he tries to look out for the Jewish people. Whether you like him or not, it's funny because that one issue is so strong. It is the closest to the truth of our Creator's instructions. It rings true with what the truth is here. Do you see that? That's why, I wish Mr. Trump would exhibit certain types of sensitivities, but he grew up a certain way. He had his upbringing. You know, everyone has their own upbringing. They have certain sensitivities that are brought out in them in order to achieve whatever it was that their family felt they needed to achieve. Everyone's like that. You know, I got friends that aren't sensitive to certain issues, yet are sensitive to other issues, and then maybe I should be more sensitive to those issues. But there is a priority on what issues probably one should be more sensitive to. That's a whole other story, and I'm not here to give criticisms unless it's something I feel is completely pertinent to the situation, but I am giving a compliment. You know, it's funny. I notice a lot of things, from big details to small details. I think Mr. Trump has an excellent penmanship. If you ever see him, when I first saw him hold a pen, I studied, I had Miss Lane in 6th grade, one of my elementary school buddies watching maybe, they know who I'm talking about. Miss Lane was so meticulous. You had to have the pen, it had a point to the shoulder, and it has to, and when you sign your name, it's just a work of art. And she had an indoor and an outdoor. You had to come in the indoor to her classroom, and you had to leave the exit door. I spoke with one of my old teachers, and they said they remembered that about Miss Lane, that she had to come in like a traffic pattern. You couldn't deviate, whatever. I don't think it mattered who you were, even a fellow teacher. But anyway, the point is that I noticed Mr. Trump has very beautiful penmanship. So if I see something beautiful, I mention it. Am I allowed to say that because everyone doesn't like him so much? I see a lot of people in the news saying such terrible things, and I'm not... I'll defend when I can, but if it's something I can't say much about to help, I'll keep my mouth shut. But and that's how I've been on the fence this whole time. As a general rule, what I'm looking for, what I'm being sensitive to, which I'm trying to impress upon you, is that we're here to please HaSheim with these 7 obligations, the 6, 13, and the 10 steps to immortality. And this country, this Gentile nation, should be set up according to those 7 obligations. Also fulfilling the 10 steps to immortality, and with a great sensitivity to the 613, as I'm trying to impress them upon you. You should know how HaSheim wants things to be. So if there's ever a doubt in your mind, maybe you'll think twice before you get a tattoo, or before you slash yourself, or speak lashon hara, speak evil speech, gossip about other people, even though you might not be responsible for it, but it might lead to murder. It's like slander. Slander is like you embarrass somebody. Embarrassment is like a 60th of death, the Torah says. So if you're going to slander someone, you embarrass them, I'm going to be real careful about what I say. I hope I haven't said anything to embarrass anybody. I'm not, I understand what people are uncomfortable about. I'm telling you, the way to solve all these problems is to focus on the 7, 6, 13, and 10. I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it. I'll keep saying it. One day it'll sink in. One day it'll just be bing, and you go, oh, that's why we have to do that, blah, blah, blah. And then I know I've had those aha moments. I have at least one probably every 1 or 2 days, everything. I get an aha moment on something. I'm learning something new, and it opens my mind. Okay, let's get back to business. 151, Kohanim. Do not leave the Beis HaMikdash during your sacred service. You're not allowed to leave the Beis HaMikdash while you're involved in your sacred service. Source, Vayikra 10:7, 21, 12. Vayikra, chapter 10, verse 7, chapter 21, verse 12. The punishment is a flogging. The punishment, check. Check, test 1, 2. Check, test. Check. See what Hashem's doing to me today? It's been like this all day, for the past 2 days like this. Nothing goes the way I want it to go. It goes right the way He wants it to go. He wants me to have trouble. So I got to do things, I got to put out effort, I got to expend effort, I got to use my free will, I got to do something to serve Him more. And the amount of reward you get is commensurate, is equal to the amount of effort you put in. That's also a concept of the Torah. So He's really working me. All right, now I'm not doing it for the reward for myself. Then again, I have to have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to have an even higher level of view toward Him. I'm doing it for Him. So He has the ability to give me everything He wants to give me in Olam Haba, in the next world. I want Him to be so elated that He could just, He's got like a whole treasure chest of every possible gift and reward and whatever that He wants to give Larry, and He can give Larry everything. That's what I want Him to say. He could, angels, here, give Larry everything I could possibly give to a human being. That's what I want Him to have. I want him to have everything that I could possibly give him. Now I'm giving him the ability to give me the things by fulfilling these obligations. Capiche? You follow? Are you with me? Do you understand? Or is this not getting through? I hope you're getting this. I really do, because we're sitting here in a virus. We're suffering. We're suffering in a virus. I don't know if you know this, but we're in the midst of a virus and we're suffering because we're not getting these messages. How do you know HaSheim didn't send me to give you this information? Do you have any idea whether it's true or not true? Could you bet on it or not? Would you bet on it? How do you know what his intentions are? Maybe he sent me, pulled me out of whatever it was I was doing, and had me have to come here and give you tochacha, criticism. I have to set you on the right path. I have to set you on the truthful path and the peaceful path. Why? You answer it. You figure it out. So the source was those Vayikra chapters and sentences, and the punishment is a flogging. 152, Kohanim and judges, I put a question mark because I wasn't sure, do not enter the sanctuary or render rulings after drinking wine. Okay? After drinking wine, that's not good. You don't want intoxicating drink inside you when you're choosing someone's fate. That's not good. Source, Vayikra 10:9. Punishment is death by heaven's hands and a flogging. I don't know why I put it in that order. I think if you do the worst part of the transgression, I think you get death. And if you don't do the worst part, but you do some violation, I think you get flogging. Well, we'll get back to that when the time comes. I'm just letting you know that these are the punishments for that obligation. That's the most important thing right now. So that you go, oh, that's what happens if we violate that? Yeah. So you have that in your head. 153. Do examine the signs of kashrus on all domestic and wild animals. Okay, so now we're into kosher laws for us Jewish people. I have to look at the signs of kashrus on all domestic and wild animals. Or the one that's shechting them, killing the animal for, to then give it to the consumer, I think has to do that in the kosher slaughterhouse. But we also, I guess we check by asking the butcher if, sometimes we double check. I don't know if you have to double check sometimes. I haven't eaten meat in a long time. I don't even remember. Okay, so do examine, that's 153, do examine the signs of kashrus on all domestic and wild animals. Sources, Vayikra, chapter 11, verse 2 through 3, chapter 20, verse 25, chapter 11, verse 47. The punishment is a positive precept. 154, do not eat non-kosher domestic and wild animals. Do not eat kosher, non-kosher. Do not eat non-kosher domestic and wild animals. Sources, Vayikra 11, 4 through 7, and the punishment is a flogging. Number 155, do examine the signs of kashrus on fish. Okay? Fish. On fish, you examine the signs of kashrus. I believe they have to have fins and scales, right? I haven't eaten fish in a long time. Source, Vayikra 11:9, punishment is a positive precept. 156, do not eat non-kosher fish. Do not eat non-kosher fish. Source is Vayikra 11:11, the punishment is a flogging. 157, do not eat non-kosher fowl. Do not eat non-kosher fowl, birds. Source is Vayikra 11:13, and the punishment is flogging. 158. It's funny, by the way, I have a little, I guess I must have a little reverb on this mic, and it's very loud. It almost sounds like God is talking. It's like when you're speaking in God's name here, giving over his instructions and so, you must do this. It carries weight and it sounds almost heavenly. And HaSheim set it up this way that I have to use a sound system. I can't really talk I can't talk without this, or else you don't really hear me so well, I think, with that mic from the cell phone. So I was kind of forced into this situation. Everything is from HaSheim every day. He would have made sure I would have had a mic. Believe me, there have been other situations. I mean, maybe a lapel mic or had this work better or something, but he always works it out that what he wants done is what gets done, I find. This is my opinion. It's funny, I'll read later on the Gemara somewhere, maybe in the end of the Bavli or something, and I'll say, oh, there's a principle that says exactly what I said weeks ago that I learned from experience. It's right here explicitly stated in the oral law. So I've had that happen sometimes too. I just try to be sensitive to HaSheim and his cues and what he does to me and how I have to relate to him in order to do the right thing back. So he messes me up with the light. I'm not going to freak out. No, I'm going to keep searching until I figure a way to serve him with the proper light so I can see his Torah. There's laws on Shabbos, whether you can use a light on Shabbos to study Torah or something. You look into that. We'll get to that, I guess, eventually. But if you can or you can't, I don't want to say what's what because I don't know yet right now. Okay. I read 156 was do not eat non-kosher fish, and it was the source Vayikra 11:11, punishment flogging. 157, do not eat non-kosher fowl, the birds. Source Vayikra 11:13, punishment is a flogging. 158, do examine the signs of kashrus on locusts and grasshoppers. I'm taught that we are allowed to eat locusts and grasshoppers, I think. Unless there was some exception as to why we don't make a practice out of that. It might be a minhag why it's not like such an accepted practice, I think. Like a custom of the community or something. I might be wrong on that, but I thought I heard a faint thing as to why we don't do this, even though it says, if you're going to do this, if you're going to eat locusts and grasshoppers, do examine the signs of kashrus on locusts and grasshoppers. Source, Vayikra 11:21, punishment is a positive precept. 159, do observe the laws of ritual uncleanness of 8 low crawling creatures. Do observe the laws of ritual uncleanness of 8 low crawling creatures. Source, Vayikra 11:29, punishment must immerse. I believe in a mikveh, I think. You can't touch sacred objects, and it's a positive precept with some question marks by it. 160, do observe the laws of ritual uncleanness of solid and liquid food. Source, Vayikra 11:34, punishment is a positive precept, unsure. Hold on. Okay, I'm trying to make these shows shorter for you guys, too. I don't want you to have to sit through 3 hours of talk if you're uncomfortable. Maybe it's too much for you. It's a little much for me. So if it's much for me, it's probably too much for you. I don't know. I'm trying to be sensitive here. I think I'm a little high on my mic is a little high. Okay, 160. 161. The laws of 160 was do observe the laws of ritual uncleanness of solid and liquid food. Source Vayikra 11:34. Punishment was a positive precept, unsure. That's 160. 161. Do observe the laws of ritual uncleanness of animal carcasses. Do observe the laws of ritual uncleanness of animal carcasses. Source Vayikra 11:39. The punishment is a positive precept, unsure. 162. Do not eat creatures that swarm on the earth. Do not eat creatures that swarm on the earth. Source, Vayikra 11:41, punishment is a flogging. So we Jews are not allowed to eat these swarming creatures, you know. I was going to say it keeps us holy, I think. There are certain animals that make us unholy. I thought I heard a faint explanation of that once before. Correct me if I'm wrong. 163. Do not eat any species of tiny swarming creatures that are engendered on plants and fruits. Do not eat any species of tiny swarming creatures that are engendered on plants and fruit. We always have to check our fruits and plants for bugs. I have to check lettuce. I got to hold it up to the light. I got to wash it off good in hot water. I check it up to the light. I check to make sure there's no bugs there. You check celery. You check all kinds of leafy greens, of course. Some are a little trickier than others. Some you soak the broccoli maybe. The bugs come up in the water because you don't want to eat these bugs. You're not allowed to eat these bugs. Let's see, on plants and fruit. Source, Vayikra 11:42, and the punishment is a flogging. So if you Gentiles know that we Jews are not allowed to eat these things, you're not held responsible, it seems. I'm working on loopholes to protect the animals. I may work on a loophole to somehow get you Gentiles somehow responsible for these 613, even though without punishment. I think it might also already be there in a certain sense, but I'm not going to say anything to obligate you in any way. I'm just telling you what HaShem wants of us, and you use your seichel, your common sense, to think about what you think is right or wrong, or what you feel comfortable doing in Hashem's presence. You have Him to consider. You want to make Him happy. So you already know that you have 7 obligations. That's all you get punished for. But for some reason, He's having me teach you these 613. So learn whatever you can, and maybe it'll set you on a higher level of making Him happy. 164. Do not eat any creatures that swarm in the water. Do not eat any creatures that swarm in the water. Source, Vayikra 11:43. Punishment is a flogging. 165. Do not eat any swarming creatures that are generated by decay. Source, Vayikra 11:44. Punishment is a flogging. Okay, now comes laws that have to do with cleanliness and uncleanliness, I believe here. 166. Do declare a woman who gave birth ritually unclean. Do declare a woman who gives birth ritually unclean. 166. Do declare a woman who gives birth ritually unclean. Source, Vayikra 12:2 and 5. I don't know if it's chapter 5 or it's chapter 12, verse 2 and verse 5. Not sure. Punishment, positive and negative precepts, and you get kores. Kores, if you do not do this, to my knowledge. Kores, I put a K, big K. 167. Ritually unclean person. That's to be, kores is to be cut off from your people. I believe it's a form of death from HaShem. I'm a little unclear about something, and maybe He's making me unclear about it for now, just to ease everybody into things. 167. Ritually, you think I like this? It's very embarrassing to not know these answers, and I guess He's got the right guy in me, because I just forge right ahead. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I'm trying to be honest with you, and so everything I know is from Him, and what I don't know is from Him too. If He didn't let me know it, so then there's a reason for it, so that I guess, as I said, I think it's His love for you. He's enabling you to come into this without being so uncomfortably made. He's not making you uncomfortable completely, because you don't know all the truth. So you can only do what you can do. 167. Ritually unclean person. Do not eat the meat of holy sacrifices. Source, Vayikra 12:4. Punishment is kores. 168. Woman who gave birth. Do bring an offering. Source, Vayikra 12:6. Punishment is a positive precept. Forbidden to eat of holy offerings, and woe. Hashem says woe, or the Sefer Chinuch says in Hashem's name, woe to that person if they should violate this. 169. Do declare a mitzorah unclean. Source, Vayikra 13:2. A mitzorah. I'm blanking out right now. Hashem don't want me to know this right now. I usually know this, and I don't know why I'm drawing a complete blank. A Metzora. Oh boy. He's really controlling me like a little puppet today. I guess I feel like that Joe Pesci thing. Do I amuse you, Hashem? I guess I must amuse you, huh? All right, whatever. Allow myself to be the puppet. I'm his slave, I'm his servant. I'm just allowing him to make my mouth move, and he just makes me a puppet. 169, do declare a Metzora unclean. Source, Vayikra 13:2, punishment is a positive precept. Permanent affliction, or God heals, unsure. 170, do not shave the hair of a nethic, alopecia. Someone who's a nethic. I'm drawing a blank again. Source, Vayikra 13:33, punishment is a flogging. That's 170. 171. One with tzara'as. Oh, someone with a tzara'as infection. Do rend your clothes and follow the rules of the Torah. Source, Vayikra 13:45. The punishment is a positive precept. 172. Do deal with afflictions, tzara'as, in your clothes, according to the Torah. Source, Vayikra 13:47. Punishment is a positive precept. 173. Do purify one who has a tzara'as infection, according to the Torah. Source, Vayikra 14:2. Punishment is a positive precept. 174. A man with tzara'as, do shave all your hair. Do shave all your hair. A man with tzara'as. I heard there's an obligation I know of that you're not supposed to shave the hair in the area of affliction, I think. Why am I saying that? Don't quote me right now. Something's bothering me about this. Hope I didn't copy it wrong. 174. A man with tzara'as, do shave all your hair. Source, Vayikra 14:9. Punishment and positive precept still would be ritually unclean. See, if you guys were on the ball and you were studying, if we're doing this as a group effort and me just not spoon feeding you and then you're just like, and then you walk away. I mean, if you're actively involved, so my Orthodox Jewish buddies or my secular Jewish buddies would be studying this. They'd have a copy of the list, or they'd get a Sefer HaChinuch by now. They already have the book. They would read in there. They'd check me. I'm forging right ahead. I'm trying to get all my studying done. I'm still working on I'm organizing logic and reason into exercises, which is very, very important. It's going to help with all this and everything. So I'm working on it. And so you guys would check me and you'd write in the notes, Larry, Rabbi Eliezer, I think this one point over here on obligation 173 is this. And then I would look at it and I'd check it, and if I could come to some good decision, I'll say, I think you possibly might be right. I think we probably would have to go your way on this, or I would still hold by the way I'm saying, or we still remain in doubt. That's how we decide the truth or falsity of statements. We have to bring proof. So let me see it in the text. Let me see with my own eyes. Maybe the author made a mistake too. That can happen too sometimes. You don't know. The one who said it in HaShem's name in the book may have made a mistake. That happens sometimes in the Gemara. In the footnotes there are like corrections made or something. So you got to be aware of all those places. There's a thing in the Torah, Kri and Ksiv, how something's read and how something's written. The way you might read something differently than the way it's read. The way something's written might be read differently because of certain rules of grammar, or the trup, the ta'amim, the cantillations, or because of some other rule that we don't know, and the commentators bring down those rules. They write them on the side, and you got to know what they are, and then you'll know the right way to pronounce things. The Baal Koreh, the one who's the master of reading, the one who reads in the shul, he's got to know all those rules. you can see when you hear when he's reading something and it's not written that way, and he's reading it differently because there's a rule there that he's obeying that overrides that written pronunciation. You got to know all that stuff. This is very deep stuff, man, on every level. Details, details, details. And one little dot or vowel can change the way we make a mikvah or the way we carry out some law. Funny, I didn't even see this, but so we did, 174, a man with saras, do shave all your hair. Source Vayikra 14:9, punishment is a positive precept, and you still would be ritually unclean. If you don't follow this, I'm assuming. 175, do immerse in a mikvah. Source, Vayikra 14:9, punishment, positive precept, guilt, etc., etc. There's a lot of guilt or something if you don't do this. That's it for today's quota, up to 175. So those are the 613, the 25 of the 613 obligations that we're studying today. It's a quarter after 10. I'm about to end the show, I think, because we did an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm quite proud that I've cut the show down to less than half of its normal time that I've been doing. The show I do with my mom, it lasts about an hour. Bing, bong, bing, we got it to, and it seems comfortable that that's the right amount of time for everyone involved, the doers of the show and the listeners of the show. I think for this show, I would like to be in and out like this too. Trying to get it to an hour maybe. So you guys should have no qualms about coming to hear the truth. You just come. It's short and sweet. I give you the obligations. I give you in a regiment all those obligations, and if there are current events that need to be on which need to be commented upon which need to be commented, that's the better way to say it, I think, then I will try to say something meaningful about those things when we come to them. It's usually, if I'm ever making a comment, either it's it's for sure having to do with the 7, 6, 13, and 10 steps to immortality, that I would make such a comment, and it may be something explicitly stated in the Torah regarding, something's going on in the world, and you got statues, right, that are, it says in the Torah, do not hurt anyone with words or actions. That's one of our obligations. So you wouldn't want a statue of some, soldier in what was it, the Confederates and the, I forgot the two. I don't understand those parties. You'll forgive me, but I don't like the Republicans and Democrats. It doesn't mean anything to me. Everyone should just have an equal vote. Get rid of that electoral college. I'm just telling you off the cuff. These are my thoughts. You want everyone to have an equal, meaningful, counted vote. Get rid of the electoral college and make every vote count. That's number one. Until we can set up this country as a nation that fulfills the 7 obligations, at least get rid of that electoral college. That's just my opinion. But removing statues, right? So if it's statues that are offending others with words or actions, it's just standing there with a sword on a horse representing some, persecution of some people, possibly, then get rid of it, I think. Okay, it's been standing there a long time. I know it's hard to part with it, but look, if you gave me all the details and I weighed it out, I don't know if I'd come to the same decision. I think I would, possibly. I mean, if it's causing people such pain and discomfort, and it represents an ideology of persecution or putting people down and making them feel less than equal or less than human, then help them. Get rid of it. And as I said, remove the 10 Commandments so that it's, my people are very quiet about certain things sometimes. They don't make waves if they don't think they can win a battle. I think. If they feel they can make an impact, they say something, and they say something good and strong, boy. Don't mess with my people. Jewish people are solid. They say what needs to be said, but maybe this is a battle that they didn't think could be won, because you guys don't think about the 7, 6, 13, and 10, which you should be thinking about all the time, 24 hours a day, every second of every day. This is your life. This is it. So everything I say has something to do with fulfilling some obligation to Hashem properly. And sometimes I give my opinion. And again, I don't mean to sound arrogant. I hope it never comes across that way. But I gotta have some moxie, some gumption, some, I don't know if I'm getting the right words. These aren't the right words. I gotta put my foot down, and I gotta give some opinion where no opinion is being voiced. So forgive me, but I'm calling it as I see it. It's like an umpire. Strike! You're out of here. Get that statue out of here. So I'm making an opinion, and I think it's best. You have another opinion that you think is wiser, so tell me and let's talk about it intelligently and meaningfully, and let's debate what's the right, what's the truth. What do you think is the best way to serve Hashem here and make Him happy? As well as making all of our fellow human beings happy, and the animals happy, all of the creations that Hashem has made happy. We want to make everybody happy, so that we're all happy campers in this camp called life, the camp of life. Interesting concept. I went to summer camps throughout my life, various camps, and I learned a lot about, you're in that camp, secluded, under the auspices, under the guidance and direction of the camp owners, and they make the rules. They're like God, They tell you how to live in that camp in order to make them happy. And you got to follow those rules. Curfew's at 10 or whatever it is. Bing, that's the end. Lights out. So same with Hashem. And God forbid, you violate His obligation, and then He decides, lights out. And that's bad. That's lights out. You don't have any more chance to serve Him and make Him happy. Think about making Him happy right now. I love you guys. Have a good week. Let me see here. Oh, wait a second. No, I want this one. And out of that. It should go. All right, guys, you've been listening to the Truth Seeker Show, the show that is specifically designed to help us to fulfill the purpose of our life in this world properly by giving information, motivation, pleasure, and healing. I have been your host for the evening, Rabbi Eliezer Karp, at your service, servant to Hashem, and trying my best to fulfill His will in this world. So you do the same. Focus on those 7 obligations if you're a Gentile, the 613 obligations if you're a Jewish person, and focus on the 10 steps to immortality if you're either Gentile or Jewish, and try to strive to get on those high levels. And until next week, try to stay safe, protect each other, be nice to each other, don't burn each other's houses or cars or property or hurt each other. We're brothers and sisters. Let Hashem know you're being watched by Hashem. Let Him know you care about His fellow human beings, your brothers and sisters, and He will bless you. And it says also in the Torah, those who bless the Jewish people are blessed, and those who curse us are cursed. We're trying to teach you the Torah. We're trying to teach you Hashem's instructions. So, if you're blessing us while we do that, we're doing that, we're trying to do that with a whole heart and to get the whole world to serve Hashem properly. Help us, bless us, and Hashem will bless you too. Have a good week. I love you. Good night, guys.